Alright, in honor of July 4th weekend, which is here, I've already done some Uncle Sam videos, but I want to do another one more. Now, there you go. I need to stop carving and start taking English lessons. Grammar. Okay, I cut out a little. This is about 3 1/4 inches tall. This is a real normal Uncle Sam pattern that we use here, and I'll put him on Facebook, and I'll put the pattern next to it. In other words, I'll put the completed piece on Facebook. But this is a little Uncle Sam pattern, and very common pattern that is used to carve Uncle Sam's. And so we're just going to do that today, a little quick project for you, as we do. Now, as you can see, most of it's drawn on the front here, and I'm going to go to the back of this thing and draw the hat here, and then I'm going to come up here and then come up here for the head. See, it comes straight over and then up a little bit for the head right here, and the beard and everything like that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is what I call making our on whittling, making our sight lines, which here's the hat, so we're going to cut that away from the head right here, because remember, the hat's going to stand out over the head. And just same thing over here. And take your knife and all of this is going to be brought in. Now, I think I told you that this is 3 1/4 inches tall, and this is 1 1/4 inches thick. And that's all you need. You don't need much. It's a real don't need a lot of wood for it. And then we're going to come here where the body and the head meets, and we're going to separate the body from the head. Okay, just like that. Now then, of course, this part, this top brim part of the hat will come down, so we want to go ahead and separate the top of this brim from this portion of the hat. I hope everyone is going to have a good 4th of July. I appreciate all the responses of my video. I'm slowing down. I am slowing down, but I want to start working on folk art more, carving folk art stuff. I love folk art, and I love it. And I love doing it, so I'm going to start concentrating more on that, of doing videos on folk art, doing some different types of folk art. Okay, now as you can see now, we have separated the top of the hat from the brim of the hat. Okay? Now we're going to, this back here is the coat. So we're going to come up from that point there on the coat on both sides. And we're going to separate that from the legs. We're just getting our, what I call our sight lines. This is not a complicated Uncle Sam. These are relatively simple. Okay. All right. So now we've got what I call my sight marks here as we now work towards what we want to do. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and start with the feet, and I'm going to start bringing those down, coming from both sides of the feet, bringing the shoes down and the legs down just a little bit. Most of you know I work around my carvings from different angles, but mostly from getting the feet and the I just was able to make a trip to see my son in Kentucky. He has just newly been married. I hope that this plays out with my new daughter-in-law. His last marriage was good at first and then turned out disastrous because of infidelity. But praise the Lord. I hope that this marriage does work out for him. And I got to see my grandbabies, and I brought my other granddaughter with me because she's friends with my granddaughter up there. Okay, let's kind of, now an Uncle Sam is usually pretty thin. I mean, he's not fat or anything like that. He's I don't exactly know the history of the Uncle Sam symbol. You know, different patriotic symbols come along. I do remember, I'm not sure when Uncle Sam became that symbol, but I do remember during the Second World War. I wasn't born at that time, but they used to have those posters that says Uncle Sam won't shoot. So I'm sure Uncle Sam goes back a long way. I'll have to look up the history of it sometime and see what exactly is the history of Uncle Sam and why he was, you know, he got that particular concept. I think it is a very neat concept. Now, I'm outside in the garage, so you're going to hear some cars go by, and you're going to hear some things that's going to happen. So, okay, now that we got the shoes down and everything like that, now we can kind of work on getting the face down. We go from side to side and work on it. I been doing well. Like I said, I made that trip to Kentucky. I drove because I was bringing my granddaughter, and I have to admit that as time has gone on, the driving has become harder and harder for me. It is an 8-10 hour trip, and right, I should go by plane. I think it's only about 2 hours by plane. But there's some carvers up in those areas I like to visit. And I didn't get a chance this time because I had my granddaughter. But she said, "Papa, can we drive?" So I said, "All right, we'll go ahead and drive and make it a good thing." So we did, and it was good. I rented a car this time. I usually take my truck, but I decided to rent a car this time, driving something different. And now you gotta understand, I'm 70 years old, so I reserved a full-size car, what they call a full-size car, and it was like an Impala is what it was. In fact, it was an Impala. And the thing is, back when I was young, I drove in a mini of a Impala, and they were nice big roomy cars. But I knew the minute that I went to get it and looked at it, I thought, wow, that's an Impala? They are really, these cars are not big like they used to be. And I understand gas mileage. I understand all that stuff. I'm not going to get into it and whatever it is. But it was comfortable, but but even for me, you know, I'm about 6 foot. It was hard to get it in and out of. So it was different. It really was. And so it was a little bit different matter on that situation. So it wasn't as comfortable as my truck would have been. But I would just gave it a try. You know, a lot of people get mad because they do things. They want their money back and all this stuff. But you know, when you do something and you do it and it doesn't turn out the way you want it, sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet, as we say, and go on with life. All right, now as we can see, we're getting this Uncle Sam. I'm just gonna go ahead and come up here like this. And go ahead and just cut that, and I've got to bring all that down. Go ahead and cut my sight lines. And so that was one of my disappointments, was that the car was not really big enough. But I also realized that what they consider a full-size car now was not a full-size car whenever I was young. So you live and you learn. You live and you learn, so you live and you learn. It has approached the hurricane season down here. And most of you know I lost everything in Hurricane Harvey. So that's always a nervous time for all of us down here. We just hadn't had rain for a long time, and then the other day yesterday in fact, it just rained all day long and did some flooding. So, it's just, it's a weird, I hope that doesn't have an indication of what kind of season we're going to have. But we'll wait and see on that. We'll wait and see. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and put our arms in here. Okay. Let's just bring this. Our Uncle Sam's are not, they are not fat like this, so all this is going to have to be brought down. But it was an enjoyment seeing my grandchildren. I don't get to see them as much as I should. My son continues to work at the federal prisons, and he says it's crazy. I don't say a lot about my son's work in the federal prisons. They try to keep them. Those type of things really are you got to be careful what you say about things like that, because there are a lot of things that go on if you don't really want people to know, because people would misconstrue. It's not that you don't want people to know, it's just that people misconstrued what you say a lot of times. I found that out real quick, that what you say isn't always what how people take it. In other words, what you say sometimes is perfectly innocent, but and we can see that with the July 6 hearings that are going on right now, with all that mess and stuff like that. I mean, it's all hearsay, and people don't. A lot of it's hearsay, a lot of it's not. A lot of it's you don't know where these people are telling the truth. You don't know what's going on, so you got to be careful. Just putting arms in here. You got to be careful what you believe and what you don't believe, and how the media portrays it and everything like that. But something did happen not far from my grandchildren's school. Just yesterday, that they were serving a warrant in a county called Allentown County, which is about just not far from where my grandchildren go to school. They go to school in a place called Prestonsburg. And we're just gonna use the arms here. And the officers were just simply serving a warrant on a man, and he opened fire on them and killed 2 of them, and injured a bunch of them. It's just really a sad thing. And that was about just down the street from where my grandchildren go to school. So it's a scary world out there, folks. Please be careful, man. Okay, I'm gonna redraw this now. Please be careful. This is a dangerous world out there, and something as simple. Folks, this is why I have such a high regard for policemen. They do a job. It's like my son. They do a job that nobody else wants to do. My son works with prisoners, and it's a job that people want to complain about, that people don't do it just the way they should, but they don't want to. Nobody else wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it, but everybody wants to complain about it. And that's the way policemen are. I know they have to be discouraged. And now, they did arrest the man that did this. Now, please don't become offended by what I'm going to say. But in my day, when I was a young man, if someone would have done something like that, then just getting the arms here, getting them. He'd have never stood trial. They'd have taken care of that themselves. And I don't know, maybe we need to go back to that kind of stuff, because I tell you, it's sad. It's very sad what's going on. And something as simple as just a warrant or something like that, the man opened fire on him and killed 2 police officers. And now a lot of people go, well, that's their job. Well, I know, but they have families too.